I, 38 female, have 4 kids, a baby, 2 toddlers and a tween female. I love them all more than anything, but I'll be the first to admit that our house is in constant chaos and it can get very exhausting. My sister, 33, is child-free but loves my kids and was happy to watch the older 2 or 3 to help me keep my sanity. This has been extremely helpful, and I tell her all the time how grateful we are for her help. The thing is that the kids used to go over to her house, but right now they can't because my sister is fostering an elderly chihuahua. My sister claims that she couldn't have them over for the time being because they would stress out the dog. Her dog was extremely frail and timid, so I think this was a fair assessment. This was the 4th dog she'd fostered, all of which couldn't be around my kids. This most recent dog took 8 months to find a home, but most of her other dogs took even longer. When she told me she had found an adopter, I knew I could finally breathe a sigh of relief and joked about how I was so glad she could babysit again. My sister proceeded to tell me that there was a 2nd dog that desperately needed a new foster, so she planned to take in that one as soon as her current dog was gone, so she couldn't do any more babysitting than she already is. Sometimes she comes over to my house in the morning to help out. I could feel my stress levels spike. I haven't ever done this before, but I opened up to her about how much I've been struggling since she got the dog, how little sleep I get every night, how my husband hasn't been helping as much as he should, and some other deeply personal issues that I've been struggling with. Then I asked her, point blank, not to get another dog. She comforted me, but ultimately didn't agree on anything and said she needed some time to think. I know I'm asking a lot of her since rescuing dogs is her passion, and that's why I feel so guilty. But I don't have anyone else to help me. I can't afford a babysitter long term, and my friends all have their kids to look after. Above all, my kids will always come before a dog, which is why I was willing to request it. I've told a few different people about the situation and gotten a wide range of heavily biased opinions, so that's why I decided to come on here and ask you guys. Was this unreasonable? I would never demand her to do this if she didn't want to, but is it so wrong to be honest about my situation and earnestly ask? You are the idiot. No one loves to admit this to themselves, but your own life choices led you to this point. Your exhaustion, your sleepless nights, the fact you're broke, your inability to find a consistent babysitter, these are all problems you've invented for yourself by having children outside your means. Your sister's time isn't any less valuable because she's child-free. However, her time is not something you're entitled to, and her help is not something that's owed to you just because you're a parent, and she's not. How about instead of her child-free sister, she asks her deadbeat husband, the deadbeat father of her children who isn't helping her enough? I mean, he's the one who keeps getting her pregnant, not her sister. You are the idiot, OP. Stop making more children instead of policing your sister's life. Exactly, you have a husband problem, but you don't want to face that, so you're trying to manipulate your sister. Not asking, manipulating. I'm 100% sure the sister is dead tired of being taken advantage of and forced to babysit, and fostering dogs is the way she chose to say no. I'm so profoundly disturbed by the casual nature you write about your sister's perceived servitude to you. It's easy for you to assume she owes you labour and aid. Sometimes on these things I have to say, no, you are the idiot and you know it. But I honestly can't this time. You are the idiot and you don't know, and that's almost the worst kind of idiot. So please, do some serious self-reflection. You owe it to yourself, your family, and your sister, who I hope finds a way to free herself from your entitlement. Okay, I think you might be too deep into your exhaustion to realize your entitlement. This is a wake-up call to reevaluate the structure and order in which you're living right now. And for the love of God, stop having kids with men that will not pull their weight. Stop relying on your sister. I mean, come on, it's going on 5 dogs now and you still don't get it? She doesn't want to be your Insta babysitter. I'm engaged to my fiancée and we'll be marrying in a few months. Right now, we're both still deciding on our wedding parties. So she is very close friends with an adult film actress. She used to work adjacent to that industry and made a lot of connections, and this one's stuck. The friend is well known. Her face is also very recognizable to the point where she'll inevitably be asked for an autograph if we go out to eat with her. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't disapprove of her, that's her business. She's great, but my family is staunchly religious. So much so that my mom said that if the wedding was not held in a chapel, she wouldn't be attending. I know it's ridiculous, but it's my family, and it's not just her, it's that entire side except for a few cousins and my siblings. This is a problem because of how recognizable she is. I'll fully admit that I'd watched a few of her videos prior to meeting her because of how viral they are. I'm sure other guys there will have seen her videos too, and if something gets mentioned or pointed out, it could cause so much drama that I really don't want to deal with it on the wedding day. I also don't want attention to be taken off the woman I'm marrying because half of the people there have seen one of the bridesmaids banging 6 guys at once. So when my fiancé told me, I brought up my concerns and asked that she not make her actress friend a bridesmaid. My fiancé wasn't happy. She told me that she's one of her closest friends and that she's not moving her out of our wedding just to appease my mother. I told her that I wanted our day to go off without a hitch and this was just mitigating the risk. I also said that I felt that she owed me one because she vetoed my groomsman because he cheated on someone in the bridal party. She felt it was unfair and now we're at an impasse. She told me that the way I was behaving was gross and I was an idiot. So now here we are. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. It's ridiculous that you're justifying yourself by claiming to want to protect your bride from being overshadowed by her friend. If she doesn't care, neither should you. If your family is as religious as they claim, they won't even know who she is. If they do, they're obviously nothing but hypocrites. Agree. OP, if people in your family know who she is because they consume her content, then they literally have zero judgmental ground to stand on. You can't consume the content, then be all high and mighty and morally against the people making said content. That's some ridiculous mental gymnastics of morality there. If I remember right, the Bible says something about not judging people unless you have not sinned, so your family has no place judging anyone. But you need to step up and protect your fiancé from your family's judgmental attitude. Also, your comparison is off. Cheating is entirely different. It is deliberately harming at least one person. Not the idiot. I was going to say that you're 100% the idiot because I think you're messed up for asking her not to be put into that situation to appease your family. However, if the bride gets the power to veto your groomsman, you get the power to veto her bridesmaid. She already set the rule that vetoing of wedding party members is allowed. Seems fair. After all, why did she veto the groomsman? To avoid drama and make her bridesmaid comfortable. Not much difference than the veto to her adult film actress friend to make your family comfortable. I'm a 34-year-old woman and I'm currently watching my niece, who is a tween, and my nephew, who is 3 years younger, for my brother and sister-in-law over the spring bank holiday so they can go on a kid-free holiday. I run the family farm since my older brother wasn't interested in taking it over when our parents got too old to keep up with its demands. As the kids are staying with me for the time being, I decided they'd help out on the farm in age-appropriate ways. Nothing too taxing and honestly far less than what my brother and I did at their ages. But if they do this in the morning, they're free to spend the afternoon as they please. I think it's a good way to teach them responsibility, and besides, I don't have kids, so the farm might end up being taken over by one of them one day if they take an interest in it. My brother and sister-in-law phone the kids each night to say goodnight and check how they're doing, and they mentioned how they were helping out on the farm. When I talked to my brother and sister-in-law after the kids say goodnight, my sister-in-law was angry and demanded to know why I was forcing her children to work and how they were here on vacation, and it wasn't right of me to do that. My brother asked what they'd been doing, and when I told him it mainly was mucking out the stables and feeding the animals, he tried to talk her down, but she was even more upset to know her children were doing something so dirty. I was rather bemused by this, as it's honestly not that bad. It's not like they're rolling about in the dirty stables. I told her how they were having fun, and it's honestly not that bad and did no harm to my brother growing up and me. However, she's told me she doesn't want my kids lifting a finger for the rest of the time I have them, and it's their holiday, so they should be treated as such. My brother thinks she's overreacting, but he also tends to defer to her in most things, so I'm getting no support there. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I'm running a business, not a resort, so I can hardly wait on them hand and foot while my brother and sister-in-law are on holiday. Is it truly so bad that I'd expect them to help out in the mornings while staying? Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. What does your sister-in-law think you are, an indentured servant that should provide for their every whim? It doesn't even seem like they're paying you for your time. Your place, your rules. And if she can't accept that, then tell her to find a resort that would give her kids the 5-star treatment she wants. I agree. The absolute audacity of the sister-in-law demanding her kids be treated like paying guests on vacation at some resort. I'd be telling the sister-in-law that if she didn't want her precious babies doing any work, she should have taken them with her or sent them to a real camp, where they would be given chores as well. Your brother also needs to reattach his spine, tell his wife the kids will be fine, and be grateful that the kids are being cared for and treated to a new experience. Did sister-in-law miss the kids are enjoying it? I used to help out when we went to stay with a family that had livestock, or at my granddad's weeding, planting, watering and harvesting veg during school breaks. I enjoyed it. People even pay for the experience. Seriously, Princess sister-in-law needs to get over herself. Honestly, I wonder if she's the real reason your brother didn't take over the farm. A little backstory before going to the main issue. I, 27 male, have a brother, 31, who has a wife, 29, and a son, pre-teen. Our parents were divorced, so after their passing, I inherited everything from my mother and also half from my father, but my brother only inherited the remaining half from our father. Shortly after inheriting my mother's house, I was quickly approached by one guy who wanted to buy the house. He already offered my mother, but she didn't want to sell because she lived there and didn't want to leave. It was a huge 4-story house that still had some rooms unfinished, and I didn't really want to live there. I cashed out and bought a studio apartment in the city where I was working. My brother was renting a place in the very same city. Forward to recent times. My brother is an engineer and had a solid job until the beginning of 2020 when he got fired. Since then, he still hasn't found a job in his field. He started eating through his savings and asked me if I wanted to buy his half of the house and property. Dad's house is smaller, but way nicer. During those last years of his life, he invested lots of money in the house and made a pool outside. I wanted to buy it from him even before he offered it and planned to pay more than what he asked me, so I accepted since it was a great deal and I somewhat helped him. In the summer of 2021, I guess my brother was running low on cash because he said that he couldn't afford the rent anymore, so he asked me if he could move into Dad's house. I wasn't using it that much, so I let them move in 2022. I've been staying at the Dad's house for the past month because I have some people working on demolishing some old buildings on the property. I get up early every day to be with the workers. I noticed that my nephew never has breakfast before going to school, and also his parents never pack him anything. So I asked him if he eats anything at the school, and he said that he eats an empty croissant that he gets from the shop. I felt bad, so I started making him breakfast and packing him a sandwich for school and some snacks and a drink. I've been doing it for about the past 2 weeks. Yesterday, his mother saw him eating and what I packed for him. She said, "This explains why nephew isn't hungry after school," and left the kitchen after giving me this weird look. After nephew left, she came back and lashed out at me, saying that he'll get fat, that I shouldn't give him junk food, and that I made her look bad in her son's eyes and that I didn't have her permission to do it. I told her that she was neglecting him and that I would only stop it once she started doing it. She then screamed at me, called me names, and told me to go back to my crappy place, city. At this point, I was fuming, so I threatened her that I would kick them all out if she didn't get her act together. The neighbour asked what all the screaming was, and after I told him, he said that I'm not a parent and should stay out of it. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You certainly should not stay out of it. I would speak to my brother about it. A child should have 3 meals a day at least. Sister-in-law has probably only noticed because he's not starving by the evening meal. Speak to bro. If they don't change, call CPS. CPS will visit and educate them. If they still refuse, they will act in the best interests of the child. Hang on a bloody minute. He's a young child and they don't give him breakfast or lunch. And he has a croissant to tide him over for the whole day until dinner. And what does that consist of? What actual planet is your sister-in-law on? I'm pretty sure I'm raising a bloody hobbit then because he eats second breakfast, snacks, lunch, afternoon snack, after-school snack, dinner, supper, and he's 6. Well, maybe stomach of a hobbit, but he's over 4 foot tall. How the heck is he supposed to get the energy to do his work at school, let alone play with his friends and develop? Poor bugger must be absolutely starving. You need to keep an eye on this and not back down from your sister-in-law's attitude. You're doing them a favour by letting them live there and just paying bills. Also, does sister-in-law have a job? Do they pay rent? You have every right to kick them out, but I wonder who will hurt most. Sounds like your nephew will be worse off. Not the idiot, but think about your next move carefully. I, 30 male, have been with my fiancée, 26 female, for 3 years. Last year, when everything started to open up, I discussed the idea of opening a bar with my girlfriend. She knew how much I wanted that, so I put my savings into it. During the first month, my girlfriend helped me as a waitress, community manager. I hired a waitress and now she helps with social media. When we opened, I got t-shirts with the bar's logo. My girlfriend, of course, got one. She and my family are the only people with t-shirts beside the employees. My girlfriend sometimes wears hers to work out and run. Last weekend, a guy came to the bar, ordered a drink, asked about a girl who works here, and described my girlfriend, short black hair girl with tattoos on her arm. I honestly wasn't getting it because she hasn't worked there in over a year, and when she comes over, she wears regular clothes. I told him that no one with that description works here, and he insisted that she did, or used to at least. So I kept telling him no, and he pulled out his phone and showed me a picture from our Instagram. The picture was from our opening. It was a group picture with my friends and family and, of course, my girlfriend. He zoomed her face and told me that it was her. I was upset at that point and asked him how he knew her. He said they went running at the same place and she was wearing the shirt, so he looked at the bar on Instagram and found the picture. So he assumed she worked here. I thought that was very creepy, so what I did was I pulled out my phone and showed him a picture of us and told him, "You mean my fiancée?" He started stuttering, and I told him he was a creep and a stalker and he needed to leave, or I would get him out. I told my girlfriend, and she was so creeped out by the guy's behaviour that she said she was now afraid of going back to that park. The problem is, some of my friends said that there was no need to be rude, the guy was just asking, and I could have said it was my girlfriend and that it was kind of funny. I don't think my girlfriend being scared to run now is funny, but I don't know. Maybe I could have handled it differently. Am I the idiot for calling him a creep and names? Not the idiot, OP. I would have done the same. You see a girl running wearing a shirt, so you go to where you think she works. That's weird. Hopefully he never comes back. That stuff happens to us, women, all the time, and we're always on high alert. He might be fine, and hopefully he's harmless and stays away from her running spot, or at least has the decency to adjust the time he goes to avoid her. Anyone who alluded to you overreacting has never been a victim of stalker crap like that, or they choose to ignore it because they don't see it as problematic. Not the idiot for kicking this stalker out. Just sorry you didn't get his picture to alert your girlfriend.